Hello viewers, and welcome to our first proper preview then for WRC4. It's been a while coming and I thought it was about time to go through the options, learn a bit about the game. We've seen a few previews, we've heard from the developers, and over the next couple of weeks I'll be opening the game up, testing its many features and exploring it. So we look at some of the options here that you can see within the game to help you with your driving. All the elements that you need of a standard racing game today. Certainly in terms of options, the game has heaps of options and there's something there for everyone. In terms of handling, obviously you can have your 900-degree wheel and your 8-shifter gearbox, as well as using your clutch however you desire. It's all there. Certainly again, all the indications are on screen. Driver aids, obviously audio, that's pretty standard, but what's not standard is the co-driver timing at the bottom. If we go down to that, you can see there you've got delayed, very early and in advance. So you can find a timing on the co-driver that suits you. If you feel in some of the videos you see that the co-driver is a bit delayed, then certainly it's something to look at. The one element where the co-driver might slow down is when he notices a concern, then that can slow him down slightly. Driver portrait, obviously we have our drivers here, and we'll be attacking the game over the coming videos, looking at all the different rallies, and I'll be following a lot of your questions in the comments as well. So do comment, let me know what you think of the videos, and if there are elements you'd like to see or elements you have concerns on. You have a help video here as well, and you can see bits and pieces of the game. The frame rate in the video is actually very low. It's not, the frame rate's nothing like this in the game, thankfully. So this was probably from a very early build that this was recorded from, but you can see some of the detail of some of the new landscapes there, which look a lot more detailed, and that explains a way through the game for everybody. So video tutorial, very helpful. We have My WRC. We're going to look into more of that later on the actual one player and the career mode. There's quite a lot to it now, and that will require a whole video of its own, which will probably be up next week. Between now and then though, we want to look at a few rallies as well. We've got new rally stages, remodeled stages, and all stages have been improved. So certainly a lot to look forward to. I had a quick run on Greece. Improved dust behind the particles behind the car, improved texture detail, lighting obviously has been improved as well in this version. Generally everything's had a touch up, and on this video as well I look a little bit at the Monte Carlo rally, which I thought looked great before, looks even better now. There really is a whole layer of detail. So you can see the different times of day you can race. Nice, so that adds something to it, and we'll be looking at that again in the video. We'll be looking at the different types of cars in the game. We'll be looking at the car audio in upcoming videos as well. So much to see and do. The game is absolutely packed with options. Here you can see the car menu. Now it's quite dark as we have it here, but there is a gamma adjust option where you can alter the lighting in the game to suit you. I would have it a few spots lighter than it is as default, which is what you see here, but we'll look at that later in the video. Looking at the car models again, you can see every year, I mean since WRC1 there's been a radical improvement in the car models, and you can see that here. This is the PS3 version. For the PS3, looks very nice indeed, nice effects. The cars look very nice in game as well, so it's not something that they've just used just in these menus. Certainly obviously the LODs that they use depending on distance will affect the detail you see, but certainly there from a lighting perspective it's nice to see the different details. So lots of drivers in there. I don't know all the WRC drivers, as many people know. I focus these days heavily on F1 and MotoGP, but it's nice to see they've included as many of the drivers as they can from the different aspects of the championship in WRC2 as well. It takes a few moments for the cars to all load in there, so there might be some slight delays on some of those, but if you go through the options a bit slower rather than like I do hurry through them very quickly, they'll all load up pretty quickly, as you can see. So all the cars are there, liveries are there, lighting's very nice, detail's very nice, so wheels have been improved on the previous version as well. All round lighting is much improved throughout the game into WRC3 class. And I've driven all of these now, I can tell you, before making this video, so certainly they're a very nice introduction to the game. If you are struggling with the WRC class, start in one of the lower classes, and it gives you a good feel for the courses without being too quick and throwing you into cars that can be quite tricky to drive when you're going flat out, and a junior WRC. And we can see some of those cars here as well. Again, these aren't very quick, these are quite slow, these ones, but they're again a good introduction to get into the game, learn the courses, certain nuances of the cars, and just generally get a feel for it without it throwing you in at the deep end. and that's why these classes exist, even for the real drivers as well. But certainly you do feel the drop in speed and performance from the top WRC class, which are much quicker. They're certainly the cars on the edge. But back into the WRC class now, it's time to do some rallying. We're going to have some rallies on some separate videos, but I'm just going to show you some more examples here. So going into Monte Carlo at noon, it's a rally we know, so it's good to have a benchmark test with something we already know, and we'll run some comparison videos as well with WRC3 later, and we'll see the steps forward. So what to drive as well, I think it's Sebastian Loeb is what I'm going to go as on this particular video. You have the staging area. We're going to look at that on another video. We're going to skip it for now. So here we see, obviously, Monte Carlo, improved textures, improved details, improved lighting. Everything here has been touched up in some way. And the different times of day really do add to the atmosphere. And we'll look at those. And I think one of the concerns that was put to me was, would I need headlights to see? Certainly headlights, I think, in the darker conditions would help. There's no doubt about that, but you can alter it with the gamma slightly. Here we can see then dawn, noon and dusk, and you can see on the same bit of track the change in sort of feel and conditions, everything else, where I've just quickly run through these just to give you all an example of what it's like and just how the lighting affects the look and feel of the environment. Very nice. I think in particular the dusk is very nice. Once you go over some of the mountains, you get this nice sort of sunlight coming through, and it's a nice sort of warm glow that it gives you for the end of the day. I quite like that. So again, you can see the detail and improvements. Obviously the handling's been refined again. The game's come on leaps and bounds from the early version, and I think for the PS3 version it's looking very good indeed. So certainly I had a lot of fun playing through this so far, and I look forward to running through some full rallies and stages with you and answering many of your questions. But this is a really nice example. Trying to keep them all as clean as possible by running around, but still getting used to these rallies again. Unfortunately, I can't use my wheel at the moment. I've injured my back, so I can't get into my racing rig. But hopefully, as soon as I can, I'll be able to run some more respectable times for you guys to analyse. And no doubt there will be some analysis over these videos. Concerns obviously about dust particles and replays. We'll have a replay later in this video. Replays have been improved, look very nice. I like the soundtrack in the replays as well. On to Argentina, again another rally that was featured in the previous version. Again, it's had various improvements throughout in terms of texture detail, in terms of course detail, crowds, lighting. Everything's had a real sort of touch up, and it's nice to see, you know, what they've achieved with the PS3 version that you see running here. I mean, she's running at a reasonable frame rate. It's quite smooth, so there's no issues there in terms of frame rate so far. Certainly the previews run very smoothly. In game, you know, you can always say anything less than 60 frames because I'm a frame rate person, but at the end of the day, I think for current hardware they've done a good job here. Certainly when you look at where the graphics engine has come from. So again, we see the three different conditions. Now this varies, and the reason why I'm showing you these different conditions is there were concerns again about driving in different conditions. Would it affect, you know, for example, the trees in WRC3? It's very difficult to see in the shadows. Would it be easier to see now? Yes, there isn't the sort of the harsh shadows that you had in the previous version. Now, as you can see there, the shadows are much lighter, making it easier to see where you're going. Not much easier from this point of view, because obviously the gravel is very similar colour to the grass in those shadows, but you can see it's not so nearly as dark as it was. And also in the evening conditions as well, you do get that nice sunlight coming in there, but it's not the effect that perhaps some people might have been concerned about. Slightly different Australia. Again, you do have some darker shadows here, and of course Australia looking really detailed again. Look at that, nice detail they've got now. Improvements on the textures from previous builds and versions. It's always improving, and again, this is still a preview build, so no doubt there's going to be some small bits and pieces that will be improved. But let's get on to the time of day, and again here we can see the three different times of day. Now I will point out that morning and dusk I've actually altered the gamma just to see how it looks. So I've been doing some experimentation. That's why the brightness might be slightly off on those two outer screens, but it gives you an idea anyway. At gives you an idea of the look of the game and how it should be. and how you can alter it depending on how dark the conditions are. So ideally some of it would have headlights, but on the whole it hasn't necessarily affected me, and you can affect that gamma. I've moved the gamma a long way in altering the brightness on those, just to see what kind of effect it can have on visuals on the darker times of day. Overall though, Australia is rich in detail and foliage, really nice to see, and we will be looking at more of that on a later video. So certainly it's a rally that will require a little bit of practice. All the new rallies require a little bit more practice, but also, you know, we have obviously the view change options, and we're going to look at those now. People are always concerned, is there all the views and the cockpit view and everything else? So here we have obviously bumper cam, bonnet cam, in-car cockpit cam, and we have just looking behind the car there as well. I was seeing if I could look around the cockpit. You can't look around the cockpit, but it does support triple screen on the PC. You have a forward cam. I think this is a very handy camera myself. I quite like it because that's more where your eyes would be. That's where your eyes are looking in a car. So rather than looking at the steering wheel, you can't see the bottom of the steering wheel. And of course, standard behind the car view as well. Now, if you go into the options menu, you can also alter the third-person camera. So there it is, and you can change how close you want that camera to be and further from the car. Just a little option the developers have left in there in terms of field of view for the players who want that and who drive from behind the car. Into gamma correction, I've just been mucking about. I've moved it quite high. It should be at the halfway mark, so I've just been testing with the gamma on this, and we'll experiment with that again in just a moment. And there's also the photo mode. Again, we'll look at that on a later video. So you can see the gamma can make a big difference in terms of proceedings. That's probably, well, we've gone past it now, but there's certainly a halfway mark where it would normally be if you're looking at evening. So you can see that. And we'll go through all of this in the upcoming videos as well. So just below halfway now, the gamma. So you can see it's much darker in the effect it's made to the look and feel. Certainly colours are much more rich and vivid in the way they appear once you lower the gamma. But there are elements where it's a little bit dark. So if we drive onto an area now where we can see, I'm just experimenting here how things look, how things feel. We'll go to a couple of bushes now where we can see it's a bit darker, and it'll give you an idea of how the gamma can affect if it's a bit dark on your TV without affecting your TV brightness options. You can do this, saves a bit of time. So you can see that corner's very dark there. I might not see it very well. It might seem like a bush, it might seem like a wall. So I can go into the gamma correction now and just increase that a bit, and as you can see, it's much clearer to see now. So it really does alter visually what you can see in the distance when you're driving fast. But that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and now I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music, a little bit of gameplay, and as ever, there'll be more from me very soon.